Okay, there we go. So, I just wanted to show a proof of concept for this heist. It's not as bad as people say it is. For the most part, the skill trees we're using usually, like your normal dodge, normal tank builds, all that stuff, they're just not really useful for this heist, since you can't rely on hostages for some skill trees, and you can't really rely on high damage for some of the perk decks. Like with one of them, I forget which one it is because I don't really use it, but you need high burst damage to get some healing or whatever. But either way, this is really the build I'm using. Main thing here is Inspire to deal with cloakers that may spawn in and any accidents that will inevitably happen. Next thing is Iron Man. The reason for that is very obvious. I'm also going with the ammo specialist stuff, specifically extra lead, because you want that extra ammo, and Bulletstorm can be very useful for teammates using LMGs. Next is Jack of all trades. There is a strategy with this where you can use a sentry turret to cheese the AI, but I'm not actually going to be doing this, though I do still want Jack of all trades. But I do recommend getting the AP rounds because, no, I'll explain that later. Actually I should explain it now just in case I forget. So with the slow rate of fire, with this spot that you can place the turret, it helps with avoiding an awkward situation where your turret runs out of ammo, because there's a spot on this map where you can put the turret between a wall and a sofa, and all the AI will get stuck trying to get to it, but sometimes they'll walk past the turret, which will cause the issue of the turret turning around to shoot, and AI will only be aggravated to the turret as long as it's up. If it runs out of ammo, it's no longer up. So the slow rate of fire helps, just in general, but again, we're not going to be doing that. Next things are the Aced Hardware Expert and Kickstarter, just basic for the automatically restarting drill. If you get if you get a drill that restarts on its own, you don't need to worry about it. You're fine for the rest of the heist. If you don't restart. It's not as bad as you think. I know plenty of people that will just immediately restart the heist the moment they realize they don't have that drill. It's not that bad. Also, just recommend getting Ace Drill Sergeant. It just makes your life easier. Outside of that, everything else is kind of just personal preference. I mean, most of this is personal preference, so you don't need Inspire, you don't need Iron Man. Just kind of, yeah, it's just not that bad. But either way, I'm using Kingpin for the injector because without the turret, it can get quite hairy, but it's still not that bad. Bring Dr. Bag for sentry, or secondary, because this is one down, meaning I only have so many revives before I'm just instantly failed. So we're just gonna get into it. Let's skip that. So I've got my AI bring in LMGs. You can do this with players just fine. Just make sure that they bring the RPG-7. Just make sure they bring this thing as their secondary. The primary weapon doesn't really matter, but this thing is the most important thing in this build. As for the turret spot I was talking about, you can get right between here and the AI will either stack up on this wall trying to get to it or walk past and get here. And obviously they can't attack it, so they just stay here. Anyway, so what we want to do is activate this and run into this from here. AI will stack up on that door, and then your job from here is to just hold out. Obviously you don't need to deploy the ammo bags immediately. I just like to, since I don't need to really use Bullet Storm. But yeah, you'll see that as we get along. Most of my strategy just involves around helping the AI. So if you're doing this with other players, just have 3 main DPS people and 1 person in the back with this thing, the Thantos, to help with whittling down their damage or health. And that's why I use Inspire, because it just gets people straight back into the fight after a cheeky cloak like that. Okay. So... Oh, okay. So I'm going to demonstrate this anyway, because it's kind of important. If the drill does go down, you just want to use your RPG to do that and reset it. Use the RPG to insta-kill any dozers, and just restart the drill. This is a lot easier with actual players, and since they can also bring RPGs. But otherwise, it's very simple. Okay, this one's not going to restart on its own. This is just simply a lot easier with actual players. As you can see, as said, this is a lot easier with actual players, but this is why I bought the medic bag, also I'm doing it with AI. Because then you can really run back and don't really need to worry too much. Though I definitely do need to worry about these cloakers as soon as I get picked up. Yeah. A reason why, well, another reason why AI is just not as good for this. But important thing is, you can see that I got the drill with very little pain. Now, one thing you can do to be a little bit extra cheesy is to sit at the main doorway to stop them from even going to the drill in the first place. Because the dozers, yes, they will go towards the drill to kick it, to jam it. They won't always, well, no, wait, they will always go there, but their aggro will completely change if you are shooting them. They'll completely go away from the drill and immediately go to you. You see RPG to insta-kill any dozers, and just reset the drill. And also kill that cloaker, because that is one of the most annoying cloakers in my opinion. Before you know it, you will be able to get past. It's still going. Oops. Now that is one concern about using the RPG, is killing yourself or your teammates. Oh, looks like a restart on its own. Well, but naturally there's the instant down. You also kind of want to wedge yourself in between the thermal drill and the wall, because it makes the makes you a little bit harder to hit for the dozers. So you can, if you want, just sit here. But as you can see, that's not actually as nice to sit in. Also, I completely forgot about the kingpin. And there we go. The vault is now open. So now we just collect the money. That was close. I say as I get downed. And then the final run. There we go. And for the most part, this is just home free. Get the bags. Just a reminder, this is death sentence on one down. And then from there, you're out. And that's how you do Safe House Nightmare on Death Sentence 1 down. Obviously you don't really get a whole lot from this heist, but obviously people like me really care about the achievements. Plus, you can get out the way quite quickly if you use this or similar strat. Oh, there we go. You see? But yeah. That's really all there is to it. Again, this becomes a lot easier if you bring a sentry turret with AP and put it between the sofa, because most of those dozers will go over there, which a maximum of 8 to 9 can spawn, I think. And as soon as they've all spawned, no more will spawn. So if they all get stuck over there, then it's just a walk in the park. And as you saw, I didn't really use Kingpin. is useful, like on my escape there, but it's not really a thing that will really come into effect. And Stoic, you can use it for this mission, and it's not that bad, but the buffs that it offers you just doesn't really do much. Like, yes, damage taken is now reduced by 75%, but they're already only using LMGs, and with the amount of doses there are, that 75% damage reduction doesn't really do that much. As for the Kingpin one, that damage gets healed after you've used the injector. So it's personal preference. You can even use Biker if you want. There's really just no real this is the deck you want to use. But really the main thing is this thing, the HRL7. Just because it makes resetting the drill extremely trivial when leaving your little hidey hole. And obviously Thanatos, sorry, just for that DPS. Or, well, that damage burst. So for LMGs, it doesn't really matter, but I would recommend either the Brenner or the KSP, but you can really use any guns you want as long as it's got a full auto option or just good DPS in general, because that's really the main thing you want if you're not going to be the damage burster, is just good DPS. So yeah, that's all there is to it. Is this the worst heist in Payday 2? No. People, from what I've seen, people just mark it as the worst heist in Payday 2 because we can't use our conventional decks with it. But my argument to that really is just Payday is supposed to be, you're supposed to look at your builds constantly to tackle different heists, and Safe House Nightmare is really the only one that actually forces players to look at our decks and go, is this really what we need for this? And it's definitely not the worst heist in Payday 2. It's definitely not the worst heist. Just hard for conventional players. Anyway, that's all for now. Hopefully this helped some people out. If needed, I can demonstrate the cheese tactic with the turret, but now you have a non-cheesy way to do this. Oh, under 10 minutes. I think it took less than 10 minutes. I'll figure it out later.